All because the traditional E3 press conferences have wrapped up doesn't mean that there's still not great information coming out of E3. Today I want to talk about 3 stories that happened, 2 very recently last night and then 1 this morning coming out of E3. First and foremost, I want to talk about a new mini system that has a lot of people scratching their heads, myself included, but maybe it'll end up being cool. Also, we have to talk about Super Mario Maker 2 because there's been a big improvement to this game that just shows that maybe Nintendo is listening after all. And then finally, it looks like some new Nintendo Switch models could be coming very, very soon, according to the Wall Street Journal. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about this stuff.
Hey, RGT85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! First and foremost, Konami obviously isn't the same company that they were, 10 years ago, where they used to have big on-stage presences at E3. But this E3 has honestly been kind of decent for Konami. We, of course, learned about Contra Rogue Core, which is a new Contra game coming to us that was unveiled during the Nintendo Switch's Nintendo E3 Direct presentation. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of the PlayStation 1 games, but I do think it has potential. I think it looks like a decent enough game, and it's something that I'm somewhat excited to get my hands on. It will be getting a physical version of the game. It's only going to be $40 and it has online multiplayer, so I think it could be pretty fun. And then of course we got the Contra collection that stealth dropped during the Nintendo Direct yesterday for Nintendo. So Konami seems to be doing some different things, some interesting things, but they were hyping up something that they were going to have a big reveal, a big sort of thing that was going to shock people, and I think it did shock people, but maybe not quite the way they intended to do it. Konami is releasing a mini system, a Turbografx 16 Mini. Now of course Konami did not make the Turbografx 16. This was done in part with Hudson Soft. But since Konami absorbed and bought Hudson Soft, now they have the licensing to all that. And they showcased the Turbografx 16 Mini. Now, honestly, I'm not too familiar with the Turbografx 16. I have played some of the games, but I was more interested in its Japanese counterpart, the PC Engine, because the PC Engine had a much better library of games. There, of course, was the Turbografx and Turbografx CD, and much like with that, there was the PC Engine and the PC Engine CD. And we got some amazing games coming out from the PC Engine that really just showcased the power of this system that was supposedly supposed to be a competitor to the NES that probably could have been a very strong competitor if third-party support was there. Now, as far as the Turbografx 16 Mini is concerned, we learned about 6 games ranging from games like Dungeon Explorer to Ys 1 and 2. Now, what's interesting is it seems like it's going to be a mix of Turbografx CD and Turbografx games, but I just feel like the Turbografx 16 maybe doesn't have the strongest library of games. It's one of those systems where most of the really good games, the games that I really enjoyed, ended up coming out on the PC Engine only. Games like Street Fighter 2, a game that had an amazing port put onto the PC Engine that many people thought couldn't be done, but it clearly rivaled the Super Nintendo version of the game. And of course, Castlevania Rondo of Blood, arguably one of the best Castlevania games ever. Now, what's interesting is, since they are doing different region releases for this system, the PC Engine Mini actually has Castlevania Rondo of Blood as one of the 6 games announced for it. I don't know if they're going to just keep it with region to region and keep these games only in their dedicated regions, but honestly, I really hope they don't. I think the Turbografx 16 Mini would sell better with something like the Castlevania Rondo of Blood on it. Now, what's kind of cool is there will be a 5-player adapter for games that support that, so you can play these games locally, multiplayer with your friends, and that's kind of a cool thing, but it just seems like such a strange decision. A lot of people were hoping that Konami was going to talk about maybe a Metal Gear remake or some sort of Metal Gear Solid related stuff, because that's a franchise that of course they own, and the back catalog of Metal Gear games is absolutely fantastic. Metal Gear Solid 5 withstanding, I did not like that game. But yes, Konami is bringing the mini console to specific regions. There's going to be a Turbografx 16 Mini and a PC Engine Mini. If you end up picking up one of these, I recommend, if you want to actually play these games, the PC Engine Mini will probably be the better of the 2 systems, but I'll probably pick up a Turbografx 16 Mini. Like I said, I don't have a Turbografx 16. It's one of the few consoles I don't have, but yeah, Turbografx is back in 2019. Next up, a few weeks ago on the channel, we talked about Super Mario Maker 2, which had an amazing Nintendo Direct dedicated to this game, and it really sold me on this game. I love all the improvements that they put in this game. I love all of the new areas that you can build, all the new enemies that you have, all the new abilities. It looks like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic game. There's also a story mode included in this game as well. I'm sure the pre-done levels are going to be great, and of course, there is the ability to play with friends. Well, sort of. See, that was a whole big area of controversy, is that with the online multiplayer of this game, it was initially announced that you would only be able to play with random players in order to appease the leaderboard system so that people did not take advantage of the leaderboard system. And a lot of people were not happy about that, myself included. This seemed like a perfect game to play with your friends. You know, we could have done a spawn cast playing different people's levels while we all play it together. It would have been so much fun, and it would have been so cool. And it really seemed like Nintendo made a huge misstep with this, but they've actually corrected that misstep. Based on consumer feedback and based on people not being happy with this decision, yesterday during the Treehouse event, Nintendo confirmed that Super Mario Maker 2 will in fact have online friend play. So you can play with your friends online, you can play these different levels online, and honestly, it's a good thing. I know there was a whole big thing about sort of entitlement going around on the internet, that people that wanted friend play were entitled because they were asking for a feature that was not included, but I honestly don't feel like there's anything wrong with voicing concerns about video games, and this really just sort of proves it. If something is not up to your standards, if you don't like something, you should speak out about it. You don't have to be a dick about it or be disrespectful, but I definitely think it's worth talking about topics that are not being talked about if you want to see some sort of change with these things. So Super Mario Maker 2 will have a friend mode online. Now this will be coming at a later date. It's going to be in an update patch for the game. It didn't seem like it's going to take all that long for this update to be included in this version of the game though. Nintendo seemed like they were pretty steadfast on putting this into the game, but I'm just absolutely very pleased with this. I think it's a great addition to the game, and now really nobody has no reason to not pick this up. Like, you want this game, you wanted this game, it's just the ability to not play with friends was sort of dampening the experience. But now, honestly, I think it's going to sell even better because of the inclusion with friend play online. And then finally, the Wall Street Journal. Now, they've been talking about some Nintendo Switch revisions for quite a while now. They were actually the first people to talk about Nintendo Switch revisions, and it seems like 2 new Nintendo Switch models are going into production or are possibly already in production at the time of the filming of this video. The Wall Street Journal has had their thumb on this story the entire time, and this morning they released a new report saying that it does seem like these Nintendo Switch models, at least one of them, will be coming very, very soon. And I quote from the Wall Street Journal article. The Wall Street Journal reported in March that Nintendo planned to update the Switch this year with 2 new models. One is set to look similar to the current model with beefed up components, while the other is expected to be a less expensive model with a new look. People involved in the supply chain said that production in Southeast Asia has started for the Switch, including the current type and the 2 new models, suggesting Nintendo is getting ready to introduce them very soon. They didn't give any specific volume figures, but said Nintendo wanted to have enough units to sell in the US, the largest market for video game consoles, when the new products go on the market. A Nintendo spokesperson declined to report on the possible new models. Regarding production of the Switch, he said the console is mostly now made in Japan, or in China, excuse me, and that the company is always exploring options for where it assembles its products. Now, of course, some of this is stemming from the fact that right now the US and China are in a bit of a trade war with tariffs and things like that, so maybe Nintendo is realizing that there could be some potential fallout from these tariff debates, and obviously that's not something we're going to get into on this channel, but it is something that Nintendo is probably keeping an eye on, and because of this, maybe they are speeding up the production of these systems. Now, you have to remember, Nintendo came out and said that they would not be talking about any new specific Nintendo Switch models at E3, and during Nintendo's E3 press conference, we didn't learn about any new specific Switch models, but to say that a new Switch model isn't coming, I think is just very silly. Obviously, Nintendo is wanting to capitalize on that traditional 3DS market. The 3DS is long gone and dead, and the fact that this was a cheaper alternative to the Nintendo Switch that still sold pretty decently for what it was, you could definitely bet that Nintendo was looking at about a $150 to $200 price point for this Nintendo Switch mini system. But I'm definitely interested to see what this beefed up Nintendo Switch model is going to be. It seems adamant that Wall Street Journal is saying that there is going to be 2 different Nintendo Switch models, and if that's the case, I want to learn more about this powerful model. Yeah, the Nintendo Switch Mini is going to be cool. It'll probably have non-detachable Joy-Cons. I think we all know what to expect with that, but the more powerful Nintendo Switch model, I think there's a lot more secrecy involved with that system, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting more information about this. We could learn about this as soon as another Nintendo Direct, or or maybe Nintendo will just stealth drop this announcement. They have done things like that before with 3DS and 2DS revisions, where they just came out and sort of said, hey, we're doing a new system variant for this system. It's not necessarily indicative of a Nintendo Direct event. Sure, it would be cool to have that, but if Nintendo just sort of does a trailer for it and releases it, everyone obviously is going to talk about it. They will have all their PR. They will have all their publicity with this. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially with the holiday season coming up. We learned about so many games coming out this September through the winter season for the Nintendo Switch, with Animal Crossing coming out in March of 2020 as well. I could definitely see them pushing a Nintendo Switch mini model with that game. So it's going to be very definitely interesting to see what ends up happening with this and how this beefed up Nintendo Switch actually is. Alright, so those are 3 stories that I just wanted to cover for you guys because I thought they were very interesting. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the Turbografx 16 Mini. Are you interested in this system, or are you more interested in the PC Engine Mini, which honestly you should be. You should be getting ready to import that system. What do you think of Super Mario Maker 2 now including friend online play? Is this a big thing for you? Is this something that's going to definitely make you want the game, or were you fine with just playing with randoms? And of course, what do you expect from these Nintendo Switch revisions? Like I said, E3 is sort of winding down a bit, but there's still many more announcements coming out. I'm hearing Arcade 1UP is going to debut a new arcade cabinet today that we're definitely going to talk about if the rumors are true. So make sure you guys stick around for that. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. The E3 views have been absolutely fantastic. Welcome to all the new subscribers on the channel. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.